Why understanding grace is grace itself?
Because grace is infectious, and you say in understanding grace, but you can't understand grace without becoming one with it.
You can't understand grace.
Or by opening, like as you say,
yeah.
Open the sails, and then after a short amount of opening the sails, it takes its own momentum.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So even now, if you're beginning to feel what grace is, with your heart, because you cannot say, well, it's like this, it's like that, you know. But the moment you start understanding grace right now, you can feel the grace. You just feel it. But what is that feel? What is that feeling, you see? It's a feeling knowing. You can say it's a feeling of love, it's a feeling of freedom, it's a feeling of whatever doesn't matter. You see, it's a clarity, yeah.
Why does it feel so scary to totally surrender?
The surrender is the most frightening thing to the ego, the most frightening thing, because surrender is love. And love means I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to be open, you see. And so there is that fear, I'm going to be swallowed up. But in truth, you become swallowed up, you see, and you get swallowed up into that oneness. But you don't disappear, you still remain as you are. But the point is that what you've preserved and you've invested into this ego idea, my opinions, my degrees, my accomplishments, my parental training, my religion, all that, or my tradition, which we value so much, is all of a sudden, poof, doesn't mean a thing, you see? That doesn't mean, it's bad. It means that you are much more than that. And so it's kind of scary, because all that you have invested into being who you are is now poof. You see? But now you have the whole universe. Now you have everything. But it's scary to the ego, you see? The greatest fear is not physical death, it's ego death. That is the greatest fear. So when you allow yourself to experience that beautiful experience you've had yesterday, that's great, you see? That's marvelous. And when you start experiencing these little things of meeting your fear, just like vulnerability, for example, you become stronger and stronger and stronger. And the more moments of grace you have, the more moments of grace you have, until you begin to live from grace all the time. See, what we call the awakened state really is living from grace all the time. You know. The ego always comes back. Always. Initially. Like people say, I've had a beautiful moment. It was everything was so clear. I wish I could keep it. And then after it says, how can I keep it longer? You see? They lost it. How can I keep it? How can I control it? How can I do it again? It has nothing to do with you. It's the universe opening up. It's you opening up. You see? Opening up to the life that you are. To the universe. You said something, Bill? I'm sorry.
I said, oh. Trying to hold on to it.
Try to hold on to it. Yeah. Uh-oh, there it goes. Yeah. How can we make grace happen?
Seems impossible.
Hmm?
Seems impossible.
It seems impossible, doesn't it?
To make it happen.
Okay, so let's talk around it a little bit. Yeah, it's not possible to make it happen because there's no controller, there's no doer, right?
Once again, it seems to be back to surrender. It's not about making it happen, it's about surrendering that you can't, and just allowing it to
Beautiful.
to be there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You surrender, and when grace happens, happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You see? But you know it's there. And it doesn't matter whether you're experiencing it or not. But, you see? And when you do, that itself becomes the opening. That's the paradox. The moment you're willing to give up the doer, the controller part, the ego part of you, that very moment itself, which is called surrender, that creates the opening. Yeah. Can words spoken or written bring grace?
Seems to me when I read, sometimes I seem to connect somehow, almost like mind melding with the person who's, if I read it real slowly, you mentioned before in one of your talks or whatever, reading it very slowly, reading it many times.
Reading it many times, very slowly.
Kind of a merge with our
Right.
something.
So the secret, the word is, we can,
Intention.
intention, listening with that intention, yeah. Total and absolute listening. See? Not listening with the mind, not listening with what you think it is saying, but listening to what it is saying. See? Go right into the meaning. And when you do, you're opening yourself to grace. You're opening yourself up. Words and reading can help you if you listen. You see? But if you think that you know because you've read, then you don't know. But if you listen to the words, you realize that it is the heart you're recognizing that truly knows. And then the moment you recognize that, that becomes the opening. That becomes the listening. Okay, so are there any questions? Do we have a little more understanding of grace?
Do you think that maybe being sensitive to the control is kind of get in your own way when it comes to the grace and all that? Being sensitive to the controller, I guess, seems to be key to opening up. Is being sensitive when you like even like a tension in your forehead.
Yes.
Another teacher was talking.
Yes,
about.
to become aware. Another thing too, which can make you aware when there is tension, is be aware of your expression. Be aware of your face. You know, sometimes, like you don't have to look in the mirror. Like for example, feel your face. Is it relaxed, or is it kind of tense? Just be aware of what your face is saying. And it's very, very sensitive. You see, when people come to for my one-on-one session, what I do is I make them aware of the slightest thing. For example, be aware that you have an ear. Can you feel it? Most people say no. They don't feel it. But eventually, and then I make them be aware of your heartbeat, be aware of, you know, if your eyes are moving, who is breathing you, you see? Be aware of all these little movements, and as you become aware, you become immensely sensitive, in tune. You begin to listen because you feel, you see? And when you start doing that, then the moment you cut off from the flow, you'll become aware of it immediately.
Become aware of all the little movements.
All the little movements that of your body and mind that are preventing you from being in the flow. Yeah.
It seems
preventing
like almost, I'm just wondering here, but you become, to be like enlightened or whatever, to be very sensitive to effort, like the slightest bit of effort in your mind, it kind of narrows down, tense.
Yeah.
You become very sensitive even to the slightest...
You become aware, yeah, and it's effortless though. That awareness is not an effort, it's not, because I've been asked this question, you know, before. If I become aware of this, it becomes like hard work, you see? But it's no, when you become aware, it's just instant, you see? It's immediate, yeah. become aware of any tension, any effort, any fear, anything, immediately you can feel it in your body. There is something that is cutting you off from the flow.